So I've been asked to give an update on our dispatch center. The Covington N1 is currently going through several changes that will include our new radio system, which obviously Eric talked about, computer-aided dispatching, and a new 911 phone system, talking about the next-gen 911 system. Obviously, Mr. Tyree is handling the radio system, but inside the communications center, it will include 2 new consoles that will easily help us dispatch police, fire, and first aid. We're looking at mid-September for the new CAD system to be installed. With the new CAD system, of course, if you all remember, we went with Capers. It will take about a week or 2 for them to configure the users, addresses, CAD information, offenses into the software. So there's a lot of information that's going to go into that they have to provide. I don't know if any of you remember, but we are the very first agency in this state that is using the Caper system. So we're kind of working together to get all this stuff up and going. Capers will have a technician on site for about 7 to 8 days to do some training and some go live support. This will probably happen about the 1st or 2nd week of October. At this point, we'll hopefully be getting used to the software and we start focusing more on our day-to-day operations. Since we're not transferring our data from our old system to our new system, it's going to take us a while to update the information used on a daily basis, and will give us an opportunity for us to work with the system, inputting information. Once we have the platform set up and pretty much get everybody somewhat comfortable, Capers will continue to work with us and the state to implement the NCIC interface and get the UCR reporting up and running. One of our biggest problems that we currently have is the DayPro system is no longer supported. Therefore, we have to manually enter everything that the system used to automatically enter. So the quicker we get the system up and running, the quicker we can do that. Going on to the next gen 911 system, the new phone system, it's also scheduled to be installed somewhere mid-September. This upgrade will allow us to update our system to current software applications and allow us to move towards a more professional call center. One of the features of that would be text 911. So individuals will be able to text on their phones to dispatch about any type of a problem that they're having or for a call for service. It allows for a lot of different opportunities that could normally have not been able to happen because usually either somebody can't talk or whatever the case may be. During the changeover, there will be a time that we're going to have to reroute some 911 calls to our admin lines. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily, basically everything comes through the Allegheny Dispatch Center. So there's going to be a live person on that phone to answer those calls. What they're going to do is to determine whether or not it's a Covington call or an Allegheny call. If it's a Covington call, then they're going to reroute it to us so that we can answer the calls. The very worst case scenario, for whatever reason, even if we get busy, the county can supplement us with our calls and dispatch our personnel if needed. This is going to be, this period is going to occur during off-peak hours. A while back, Chief Morgan and I took a look at what our off-peak really hours are, and that's between 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. That's basically the lowest call volume time that we normally have. This period is going to allow the technicians the time to replace and upgrade the phone system. We're going to actually meet with the technicians prior to the installation and ensure that the period that we're going to be down, we'll have a backup system in place so that we don't lose any calls for service. The user test phase is going to be approximately about 48 hours after, with technicians on site to ensure that everything runs fairly smooth. They've been doing this throughout the state, and they've constantly been doing these changeovers. And when I talked to them today, they said they really haven't had any problems with the changeover. We currently use the old system. We're just upgrading the system, essentially. One of the other things I was asked to talk about is the accreditation update. The Police Department signed an agreement with the Virginia Law Enforcement Professional Standards Commission, VLEPSI, in March of 2016 while JB was the Chief of Police. When the interim Chief Miller was appointed in 2018 in October, the department began getting ready for accreditation by changing some of our policies that continued with the appointment of Chief Morgan. Under Morgan, we were able to develop and implement about 98% of the policies that are needed. During this time, we began to develop proofs that are required by VLEPSI to show that we're adhering to their standards. Proofs could be anything from a picture, from a report, This could be just about anything. One of the proofs that I know is that they have, if you're going to be an accredited agency, the officers need to be out on the street. If they're out on the street, they're wearing protective gear like vest or something like that. It's very simple. We just take a picture of an officer while they're out directing traffic. That is considered as a proof. We've also had 2 mock assessments in the past year. And basically what the mock assessment is allows us to bring in assessors from throughout the state. And one of the things that there is a minor cost that goes along with that. We generally have to provide a place for them to stay and food while they're doing their assessments. The individuals come in, they'll take a look at what we have as accreditation proofs, and they'll see whether or not we're adhering to their standards. And if we're not, they'll give us suggestions on how we can improve or what we need to do. So it's been a good process. We're planning on doing another one. There's still some other things that we have to make sure that we have to get taken care of before we actually do that. We definitely have a few issues that we got to work through before we have our final assessment for accreditation. Now, in March of 2019, our initial 3-year commitment to reach our accreditation was planning on expiring. Because we had such a turnover with the administration, Biloxi was allowed me to do a 2-year extension, which is going to allow, or basically is going to give us enough time to be ready for when we're ready to actually do the assessment. We're essentially going to have the 3 years that we should have had initially when we first signed up for the program to get this taken care of. To be honest with you, when Morgan started with us, I think we had probably about 2 or 3 policies that were developed. And then we were able to develop those policies in a short amount of time that he was actually here, get them in place, and then get them out to the officers. The biggest problem that you find with law enforcement agencies, it's a cultural change for all the officers. So, when we go and we implement policy, they're used to doing things a certain way, so we kind of have to push the issue to get them to do things the way we want them done and the way Biloxi tells us we should be doing them. This year we've had, I had to add several other policies and change some others to ensure that we're actually in compliance. A perfect example of that was we use pseudo narcotics for our canine. We don't use real narcotics for the dog to train with. So there's not such a requirement to keep those stored. So that's something that I had to add into it. Another thing would be the drop box that we have in our lobby. We have to maintain all of those that get dropped in. So that's a policy that we had to develop so that we're adhering to their standards. Within the next several months, we'll be able to finish our policy review, which that's another thing. Every year we have to do an annual policy review, and hopefully have another mock assessment. And once after we have the mock assessment, it'll give us a better insight to where we're at towards accreditation. The last thing I'd like to speak to you all about, next week the Covington Division of Police would like to recognize Corporal Scott Balzer for graduating the Virginia Forensic Science Academy. This was a course that Corporal Balzer had been pre-selected to attend, and I would like to request at the time from council for next week to recognize him on his accomplishments. Also, we'd like to honor Sergeant Heather Lane, Officer Harry Brown, and Officer Justin Fitzgerald next week with a life-saving award. This award recognizes the 3 officers for the quick response to an incident that inadvertently saved the life of a young Covington citizen. And that's all I have.
Agenda. Yeah. Sounds good.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.